Welcome back to the next episode of J&G Sports Network podcast. Jay over here, G over there.
Yo, what's going on?
And it's been a little bit since our last episode. It's been about a day over a week now. Just scheduling conflicts has been kind of wild. Yeah, plus, like I said, we're getting to the end of the regular season, so not too much is going on. Once the playoffs hit, you'll probably get 2 episodes a week or so. But right now, like I said, it's kind of just hit or miss with stuff. So I figured we'll start with the Eastern Conference right now because, as we know, the top 4 seeds, but the top 4 seeds are all within 1 game of each other. Or not, I'm sorry, the top 4 seeds are all within 3 games of each other. And they're flying. I mean, then again, there's only 3 to 5 games. Yeah, 3-4 games left.
I think it's 4 including tonight.
Yeah, so they're probably going to stay pretty similar. Obviously, the Bucks and the Sixers are tied, so they can flip flop. The Celtics are only up a game when the Bucks and Sixers. I could flip flop. The Heat might have secured the 1 seed, being 51-28, being 2 games above. But again, you never know what's going to happen. So yeah, you want to go off of that?
Yeah. We were talking earlier. Possible Cinderella stories that can make a push. One that I think if they make it through the play-in, they could possibly make a push is the Charlotte Hornets.
Mm-hmm. And just so we're clear, we want to exclude the Brooklyn Nets because that's like kind of the obvious answer. Obviously, Brooklyn has their own set of problems, but I feel like saying the Nets because they have KD and Kyrie could be a little too easy. So we are going to exclude the Nets for the Cinderella.
That's basically like calling North Carolina, who made it to the championship, a Cinderella story. It's not.
Yeah. Oh, shout out Kansas for the win as well.
Yeah. In the hold on, I just gotta say in the second half, if you go look it up, the big man from Carolina, Baycott, he was driving to the rack, or he was driving to the hoop, and he went to stop. He was going pretty fast. He went to stop. He hit his foot hit the floor, and the floorboard came up.
I saw that. I just saw that. Yeah, that's wild. That's completely unsafe. It's just wow.
Yeah, I made the prediction yesterday to my dad and to one of my coworkers. If Baycott plays, North Carolina's going to win. If he doesn't play, they're going to lose. When he was playing, they were leading. He goes down and they lose.
Yeah. It was definitely a good game. It was a crazy comeback by Kansas.
It was. It was. But back to the Cinderella stories.
Yeah, no, I think the Horns are a good one, at least out east. Obviously we're excluding the Nets, even though I don't even know. Like, I don't even know if I trust them at this point in time anymore either. But the Hawks, I don't see it happening. I don't see them having another run like last year. And I guess we should probably, make it well known what would be my Cinderella story. Like, Cinderella doesn't mean you're gonna win the finals, but like I feel like in my eyes, in the NBA terms of Cinderella, is if they make the conference finals, kind of like what the Hawks did last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they make a push past the second round. You know what I mean? Because like if the Hornets or like a team like that would like win a first round series, I mean that'd be crazy. But I don't know if you really call a first round win and second round exit Cinderella. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of like
just like an upset.
Yeah, it's kind of like in back to the NCAA tournament, St. Peter's this year. They made it the whole way to the Elite Eight. That's a Cinderella story.
Yeah, yep.
Like
if they would have won the round 64, then lost next round, nobody would have cared. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they beat Kentucky and then they lost. It's like they got 2 rounds and everyone's kind of just like, where did they come from?
Yep.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like that if they get to like the conference finals, to where it's kind of just like, where did they come from?
Yep. And like I said, I just don't think the Hawks are going to do that again this year. At this point in time, that Hawks team has turned into basically Trae Young and Trae Young only. And I just don't see them being good enough to make the push. I mean, John Collins has not been as good this year. Clint Capella has like lost his – I don't want to say lost his step, but lost a step to the point where he's not quite the same guy. I feel like everything just kind of went right for them last year, and I just don't think it's going to work for them.
Yeah, I see an interesting stat. Trae Young has more assists to Clint Capella Then Donovan Mitchell has passes to Rudy Gobert.
I was gonna say, yeah, didn't it say he averages like 2 passes to Rudy Gobert a night? Like not even assists, but 2 passes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But then again, it's like if you're Donovan, do you want to pass the ball down low to Rudy? Because like he doesn't really do too much on the offensive side of the ball.
I mean, if you get him on a lob or he's playing or you get a mismatch like him on a small guard to where he could just go up over him, then yeah. But other than that, I mean, Rudy's not that Joel Embiid or Jokic type to where he's going to back
close.
You down and he can score on you.
That's just not his game. And like I said, yeah, like even the lobs, it's not like he has a crazy range. You know what I mean? It's not like he catches them behind his head or shit. Like, you know what I mean? It's like his offensive game is just very limited. So like, yeah, 2 passes a game is insanely low. But then it's like, how much more do you really expect him to do with it?
Yeah, that is true.
But yeah, no, the Bulls being a 5 seed, I don't think that would be a Cinderella, especially because they were the 1 seed earlier this year, and I just don't think that team is really built to make a run. Like they might win the first round series, against like the Raptors, how it is now. Even if they fall to 6,
they would be going against the 76ers in the first round.
Would they?
Yeah, it goes 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, 5-4.
Oh yeah, duh. I don't know what I was looking at there. Yeah, I knew that. Okay.
I mean, there's a chance that they could get the upset.
Yeah, like that's gonna. I've seen multiple games this season. Joel Embiid single-handedly destroy that Bulls roster because they have no interior defense. Because Vucevic is the furthest thing from a rim protector in this league. Like there's no love lost here with Vucevic. I do not like Vucevic. He's a solid offensive center, but he's just, I don't know. I feel like what the Bulls wanted out of Vuce, they didn't get. Like he didn't live up to what they thought, which to some people here like me, that wasn't even surprising. Like I just didn't think he wasn't going to be anything. You look back on that trade, the Magic kind of might have won that trade. Obviously, the Bulls got the best player technically in Vucevic, but Wendell Carter has been hooping his ass off all season. Especially like I think I saw a stat that, and I could be wrong, but that each month the season is going on, Wendell Carter's averaged more points. Like each month he averages more points. And obviously they get a couple picks out of it and stuff like that. So like, I don't know, the Magic might have won that in the long term.
Yeah. A possible Cinderella story, if they were completely healthy, I say the Cavs. But then again, if they were completely healthy, they wouldn't be in this position as a 7 seed in the play-in tournament.
Yeah, I also, like I said, with their injuries, it's just kind of, that would be cool to see them push it, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, it's just the injuries. You know what I mean? Like, if they wouldn't have gotten injured, we're probably looking at them at about a 5 seed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Maybe pushing for a 4, depending on how they play. But, yeah, if they were just fully healthy, they'd be a higher seed. And even if they got everyone back, I just don't think that they could make that push against the Heat or the Celtics.
Yep. Now, out west, I think you have 2 possibles, like 2 legitimate possible Cinderellas. The Timberwolves and the Clippers. Especially with Paul George coming back. The team is floated. I think they were 17-16 when Paul George got hurt, and they're now 39-40. He just came back. Like they legitimately, without a star, floated at 500 all season, and now they have Paul George back.
Yeah, and I also seen some that apparently Zion Williamson's stepdad says Zion plans to play this season.
That's crazy. I don't even know. Like
now, how much of that is true and how much of that is going to happen, I don't know.
And I, honest to God, I don't. Even with Zion playing, I don't know if the Pelicans are ready.
They're definitely upset in the first round, but I don't see them going to the conference finals.
And then again, like, do you have them taking down the Suns or the Grizzlies?
No, I don't have them taken down. I don't have them taking down the Suns if they get the 8 seed. I do not have them taking down the Suns because the Suns are just that big of a powerhouse this year.
I just think even if the Pelicans would somehow make it out of the play-in, I don't think especially with the matchup wise. They're not going to win a series this year. They're I don't know. You would think, because if Zion stepped had said that, you would think the play-in's getting very, very close. You would think you would hear something from Zion or the Pelicans or something about him possibly playing.
Oh yeah, and I mean even then, you figure they play San Antonio or Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
Pelicans are probably going to beat San Antonio. If they play the Lakers, who knows?
I doubt it. It'll probably be the Spurs.
So let's just say they play the Spurs. Probably going to beat the Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're either playing a Clippers team or a Timberwolves team. In my opinion, even with Zion, I don't see them beating either one of them.
No,
especially with Paul George back for the Clippers.
Paul George he'll be the best player on the court in that series for sure. I don't think that's even in doubt to anybody. And I just, like I said, especially with that the role players on that Clippers team have been so good this year of keeping that team afloat that, I definitely can see them making the 8th seed.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see that.
I think the way the Western Conference is right now, it's probably gonna might see the Mavericks overtake the Warriors because there's only a game in between, and obviously with Steph Curry being out. But
another one I could see is maybe the Timberwolves bumping up to the 6 or even the 5 seed, depending on how this last stretch of games goes.
True. That's definitely true. The Timberwolves getting the 6th seed and out of the play-in tournament would be massive for them.
Oh, yeah.
Because then you take on the Warriors first round, and then, without Steph Curry on that Warriors team, you might stand a chance.
And, I mean, if we look at it, who does the Warriors have that could stop Karl-Anthony Towns?
True.
If we're being honest here. Draymond is Draymond, but only so much he can do.
The thing that worries me about the Timberwolves is that they go on such cold streaks throughout a game. Like, they could literally, at any point in the game, go 3 or 4 minutes without scoring a point because they just can't hit shots.
That's a big worry. Another big worry, in my opinion, is the inconsistency of D'Angelo Russell. We talk about James Harden having inconsistency. The past couple box scores I've seen, it probably wasn't consecutive games, but I've seen this man D'Angelo go insanely inefficient in the field goal percentage and the shots he's been taking, like three-pointers and stuff like that. He's been very inconsistent. If D'Lo can find his groove and start hitting shots, it's going to be a scary Timberwolves team that maybe even makes the conference finals if they can get good enough push from their bench.
Yeah, and that's going to be – the Timberwolves making the conference finals is going to be – things are going to need to go even more perfect than they did for the Hawks last year. Like, that's going to have to go – they're going to have to go again. They're going to have to slide up to the 6th seed, take on a Steph Curry-less Warriors in the first round. And you know what I mean? Then, like, they're just going to have luck on their side and have other teams have injuries.
Yeah, and I feel like the best case scenario for them would be snagging the 6th seed, going against the Warriors, and then having that game to where they possibly are playing either Memphis or a play-in team, which Memphis is probably going to win.
Yeah,
but I mean, I wouldn't count out the Timberwolves making it past the first, maybe even second round.
And now, I think something the 2 top teams in the West have. Obviously, they're both very good. The Suns are 7 games above the Grizzlies right now. But we did just see the Grizzlies beat the Suns when they had 4 starters out. Ja was out, Jaren Jackson Jr. was out, Desmond Bane was out, and Dylan Brooks was out, and they still beat the Suns.
Is
that a worrisome for the Suns, or is that just a fluke game?
Honestly, with the way that Memphis has been playing, especially without Ja, if they would have played the game, had their starters, and had not been with Ja, I feel like it wouldn't be as worrisome because it's kind of like, okay, this is what we're gonna get. But when you have them 4 starters out, you're coming into the game thinking, okay, we're gonna beat them. It's not gonna be that bad. But then they come out and they beat you. I think some people are gonna consider it's just a fluke game. It's not gonna happen again. But I think the Suns, and I feel like the East in general has to be worried about this Grizzlies team, because if they can do that without Ja, just think of when they get their Ja and their starters. Just think about when
Yep.
they get Ja and their starters. I mean, you're looking at DeAndre Milton had 17. Cedric Tillman had 13. Brooks had 30. Like, you can't
What,
make this
Brooks played
stuff
that
up.
game? I thought Dylan Brooks was out the game.
No, Brooks played small forward.
Who was their fourth guy out then?
Dylan Brooks. Steven Adams.
Oh, Steven Adams was out. Okay.
Yeah, Dylan Brooks dropped 30 that game.
That's right. Okay. Yep. I'm just used to Dylan Brooks being hurt.
Yeah, I mean, off their bench, Brandon Clark, I feel like people are forgetting about him. He had 11 off the bench. Aldama, he had 12.
Who?
And I don't know. It's Aldama. He's a power forward, played 21 minutes. Santi Aldama. Yeah, he's from Loyola, Maryland, was drafted with 30th pick in the 2021 draft by Utah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, hell, even he had 12, I think it was. I mean, like, you can't deny that this team actually has some depth. Desmond Bain was out for a left ankle injury, but it's just, I feel like this team is scary, especially if they do this without their starters.
Yeah. I don't know. I think what probably happened was the Suns went into the game expecting to just kind of win because of the complete lack of players the Grizzlies had, and the Grizzlies just kind of came out and smacked them in the mouth and was like, oh, you know what I mean? And by that point in time, the Suns were, like, oh crap, now they were scrambling, and most of the time you're not going to win when you're scrambling. I don't know if you really have to worry. I don't know if I would worry about it. I don't know. It's tough because obviously it looks bad on the Suns team. It's been, almost unbeatable all season to lose to a team with like none of their starters at all. But then again, like you said, we saw the Grizzlies were 20-2 or 21-2 now, like without Ja Morant. So obviously the team is a very, very good, capable team. You know what I mean? It's not like they lost to the Thunder without Shea and Josh Giddey, like a bottom tier team. You know what I mean? So like, I think you have to give them not obviously you don't want to give them a pass for loss, but I don't think you have to look as hard into it as if they would have, fully healthy when it gets a bottom tier team without starters and loss.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the box score, and I completely understand what you're saying. I mean, Devin Booker had 41.
Mm-hmm.
Bridges had 18, and then Cameron Payne was 11. Everyone else scored under double digits. Chris Paul did have 11 assists and 3 steals, but if Chris Paul, I get it was one game, but if this continues and he's not putting up numbers, they can't rely on Devin Booker to take them the whole way through the playoffs.
But that's kind of how it's tough because obviously last year in the playoffs, DeAndre Ayton was phenomenal. They need him to be more aggressive, putting shots up.
Yeah, I mean, against the Grizzlies, they didn't even have Steven Adams.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't have Jaren Jackson Jr. This man only put up 8 shots.
Yeah, and I understand Devin Booker's your best scorer, he's probably your best player. So you want him to be taking your majority of your shots, but having a center like DeAndre Ayton aggressive to put up the shots is going to make it easier for Devin Booker too. And I think sometimes Ayton gets too passive to wanting to get it out to Booker. Is like, hey, well, I have a good shot here. You know what I mean? And obviously, it's known that I'm not a huge fan of Devin Booker. We have seen some weird attitude things with him, so maybe he's a guy that wants the ball, which I guess could be good and bad. And that's just me speculating. That has no merit behind it. You know what I mean? But Chris Paul's the type of guy who you shouldn't need to rely on him to score points for you to win. He's going to be a guy, like you said, he's going to get you 10, 11 assists, 12 to 14 points, a couple of steals, a couple of rebounds, and he's just that leadership role in the team, on the court.
It's just my whole concerning thing is Bridges was the second top scorer with 18, and then you dip down to 11, and then no one else is at double digits. You know what I mean?
For sure.
JaVale McGee had 8 points. DeAndre Ayton had 9.
Yeah, you need Ayton to be taking more shots. You got to have you. I don't think they need to rely on this, but I think it would be great for them to be able to have Jay Crowder hit a couple threes a game, 2-3 a game. Not even some games, just have a couple games here and there where he can knock them down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Jay Crowder went 2 for 5 from 3 with 8 points.
Yeah, and it's like, that's kind of what he is at this point in time, just a 3-and-D player. So that's not even that bad for him, but it's like sometimes you just need more. And I feel like a lot of the people on that team, obviously nobody in the NBA is scared to shoot the ball, but I feel like sometimes they get way too passive trying to get the ball to the backcourt, and they leave points on the floor.
Yeah, I can understand that, but like you said, we don't know how Devin Booker is. You know what I mean? He might be that type of player where it goes like, "Give me the ball, I'm shooting."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And he can do that with about everybody on the roster except one person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why Chris Paul still gets his 12 assists a game because he goes, "Nah, you a young boy. Nah, you ain't doing that to me." You know what I mean? I just think it comes down to possibly ego. But I don't know. I don't know Devin Booker personally. I'm not around him when he's in practice. It could come down to his ego and him wanting to just try and score as many points as he can.
Well, kind of piggybacking off that idea, we can transition to a player that's constantly compared to Devin Booker, and that's Donovan Mitchell. Obviously we talked about earlier, like, he averages two passes a game to Rudy Gobert, not assists, but 2 passes. I remember it was a couple weeks ago, it might have even been a couple months ago at this point in time. Rudy Gobert made a comment about, the Suns team and Devin Booker like buying into, and that's like helping the team. And a lot of people, I was like, he didn't say Donovan's name, but a lot of people took it as like a direct shot at Donovan, saying like he doesn't play defense and all that kind of stuff. There's been reports or speculation from people that I've seen, throughout Twitter and stuff like that. So you don't know how true it is, but speculation that Donovan has that kind of ball dominant, give me the ball ego, and there's only so far you can go in the playoffs with a player like that or like a team like that. Because we've seen in the past, as soon as the play, like best 2-3 years, the Jazz have been the 1 seed, and then they lose second round because the entire offense revolves around Donovan Mitchell, and that is it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they don't get pieces around him to be able to do good. But then again, like you said, it could just be this dog mentality to where I'm getting mine. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to get my stats. The hell with the team.
Yeah. And, like, obviously, like, I think Donovan cares about winning for sure. I just think he's the type of player that he has, like, the you can call it the mama mentality. Like, he wants the ball. He wants to be the guy. But obviously, he's just not on the same level as Kobe ever was. So it's like, it doesn't always work. And even for the championships, Kobe always had good players around him. You know what I mean? Like, never like super teams, unless you want to call the Shaq and Kobe team a super team, just the fact they had Shaq and Kobe. But like, he just always had like really good role players around him. And Donovan drives into the lane, which is already congested because Rudy Gobert is just standing there. He kicks it out to who? Who does he kick it out to shoot?
He's got Bojan Bogdanovic, Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson.
And now, how many of those 3 right there? How many of them are good 3-point shooters?
I'll give you Bojan.
And even then, it's streaky.
Yeah.
You never know what you're getting from Bojan. Yeah. So it's like, obviously, then Joe Ingles is out for the year, so that hurts too.
It also doesn't help that your best perimeter defender is Royce O'Neal.
Yeah, and asking Royce O'Neal to do something offensively is like asking Jay Crowder and Rudy Gobert to do something offensively. It's just not gonna. You're not gonna get consistent anything from Royce O'Neal. He's good at what he does, but that's kind of that.
Yeah, I mean, and then you look at it, and even if they try and go small ball, who do you put at the 5?
Yeah, because like their backup's Hassan Whiteside, like
Yeah, like those are two of the Rudy Gobert and Hassan Whiteside are two of the best shooters in NBA history.
Yeah, it's weird. Do you think there's reports coming out that he wants to go to New York, to the Knicks? Do you think that's something realistic?
Who, Mitchell?
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like it's realistic.
I'm pretty sure it's where he's from. I'm pretty sure he's from New York.
He might just want to play in his home state. You know what I mean? Like play for his hometown crowd. But then again, like who do the Knicks give up, or who would the Jazz even want? Because in my opinion, if you trade Mitchell, you got to trade Gobert and just go full rebuild.
Yes, I agree with that. Gobert's gonna be the harder one, obviously, to move than Mitchell. Mitchell, I think, is gonna have plenty of suitors. Gobert I'm sure there's teams that are interested in Gobert, but I feel like there's cheaper options out there that can give you something similar. Obviously, like not defense player of the year caliber Gobert, but like somebody like Mitchell Robinson coming up on restricted free agency, you can get him for a heck of a lot cheaper than Rudy Gobert, and they kind of play a similar game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there have been reports that the Dallas Mavericks are interested in Rudy Gobert,
which would be good for the team. But then, it would be good because it would give them an interior presence, which they've lacked for a long, long time. But you're now paying Luka and Rudy Gobert max money. What are you going to bring in to help them? And what Luka needs is shooting, and Rudy Gobert is quite literally the opposite of that.
But then again, we got to look at the depth chart and who's actually playing center for Dallas. And I said you could get some alternatives that aren't as good. But you look at this, I mean, that is Mitchell Robinson. But then you look at this Mavericks team, their starting center is Dwight Powell,
who's been fine. Like obviously he's not great, he's not good, but he's been fine. You know what I mean? He's not gonna be a championship level starting center, but
Yeah, and I feel like even if you bring him in and you kept the roster the same, I just don't know if that team is any better. Now, granted, this Dallas team probably has better defensive players than the Utah Jazz, so that could contribute to it to force them inside and play more perimeter defense and not kind of just funnel everyone down to Rudy.
Yeah, I mean you got Dorian Finney-Smith, who's a pretty solid, pretty good wing defender. Luka's been tapped in on the defensive end this year.
You got Reggie Bullock, Spencer Dinwiddie.
Bullock is not a defender at all.
I'm just
Dinwiddie is not really much of a defender, but Dinwiddie's a taller guard, so he's kind of longer, so it kind of helps. But he's not really,
Other players you got Josh.
I don't think Reggie Bullock. I don't even think Reggie Bullock plays. I don't think he plays minutes.
I was gonna say on the Dallas depth chart on ESPN they got him as a starting small forward, but
I know at least earlier this season he wasn't playing. I'm not gonna lie. I don't watch too many Mavericks games. I get up early in the morning, so I don't really stay up late watching games.
Yeah. I'm just looking. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say anything when Luka is leading the team, and I'm not exaggerating, with 28 points. He's leading the team with 9.1 rebounds, 8.7 assists, and 1.2 steals. The only category he is not leading in is blocks, and that's Maxi Kleber.
Maxi Kleber is leading the team in blocks. That's crazy.
With one a game.
Okay, well. Obviously, like Rudy would help their defensive presence, but I just don't know if it's worth it. Like another team is like the Charlotte Hornets because they've lacked a solid rim protecting center for a long, long time. But it's like if you're LaMelo, do you want to play with Rudy Gobert?
If I'm being honest, I wouldn't because you've seen how it's going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like obviously Montrez is not a rim protecting center or anything like that, but Montrez fits that team right now because LaMelo can literally lob the ball up anywhere around the rim, and Montrez is going to get the ball going. You know what I mean? Like, I think Montrez is a really good center for LaMelo, but I think they should also have, like I'm saying, like I think Mitchell Robinson would be a good fit on a lot of teams right now. Just a guy that can play good defense and catch a lobs.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you because like that. I mean, you don't really have that much that you need a center to do. Basically just hold the paint down and catch lobs and stuff like that.
They don't need a superstar center.
I just don't think Rudy is that versatile enough with catching lobs. He's 7'1". You just throw it up. He can jump up and catch it. But if you're off, how do you know he's gonna catch it? You know what I mean? It's
he's
not
also,
like
I think, turning 30. So it's like, how much is he even? He's just gonna get worse from now on. You don't ever know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you got a guy like Mitchell Robinson, Bam Adebayo, Rob Williams, who you can throw the ball up to, and it could be about 6 inches or a foot higher than where you wanted it, and they're still somehow gonna jump up like Superman, grab it, and flush it through.
Yeah, yep. It's Rudy's a tough one, but I definitely, going back to the Donovan Mitchell Knicks thing. I saw a couple trade packages on Twitter floating around, and one of the ones I think I liked the best for both teams was let's see if I can remember off the top of my head. I know it was Emmanuel Quickley, it was Obi Toppin, and Evan Fournier, and then the Knicks first round pick this year. I think the Dallas pick next year, and then one more Knicks first round pick
for Donovan
Mitchell.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good trade for both sides, because then you get another guy that you can probably just put Donovan at point guard at that point and have RJ run the 2. You know what I mean?
But RJ's playing the 3 too. RJ kind of plays just the wing position in general. He kind of just,
Yeah. I mean, but then you come down to it. Let's see how many people are going to want the ball. Julius Randle is going to want the ball if he's still with the team. You got RJ Barrett who's going to want the ball.
They just signed Julius Randle to an extension last offseason. So somebody they need to move on with, because I think there's such a low ceiling cap on that team when Julius Randle is your best player. You had a breakout year from him last year, but that was like the only season we really saw him do that. Like I know the year he was with the Pelicans, the second half he kind of came on a little bit, but like what we know from Julius Randle 90% of the time is just not good enough to lead your team to a championship.
Yeah, and I mean, if you bring Donovan in, it comes to that point when you're going to have 3 mouths to feed.
I think at that point, their best thing to do is to re-sign Mitchell Robinson in restricted free agency. You trade for Donovan Mitchell. You move
Randle.
But then the problem is, like, what do you need for Randle? Because at that point in time, Emmanuel Quickley's gone, Obi Toppin's gone, which is your backup power forward, and Fournier's gone. Now, I think Derrick Rose will be there another year, so that's kind of like a backup guard spot, kind of held down. But like, I think Nerlens Noel might be there for another year. I'm not sure where his contract stands, but like, who are you gonna have as that backup wing and backup power forward, or even a starting power forward at that point in time? So it's like, it just depends on when you get back for Randle.
Yeah, if they do trade him, which I think they should, if they do trade for Donovan Mitchell, if I'm them, I might even try and change it up a little bit and try and put Julius Randle in there. You know what I mean?
If I'm Utah and they offer me Julius Randle, I'm hanging up the phone. I'm being dead ass. Like, I'm not giving up Donovan Mitchell for Julius. Like, obviously other players will be in there for the Knicks, but giving up Donovan Mitchell and getting Julius Randle in return, no, I'm not doing that if I'm Utah. You know what I mean? It doesn't help you at all, because Julius Randle is making top of the line money. He's not worth it. And his fit next to Rudy Gobert is completely horrific. Like, that's a terrible
let's just say they move on from Gobert.
Yeah, but then if you're Utah, if you're trying to rebuild, why would you want a guy like Julius Randle? That's why you get guys like Fournier, which you can move on from, but you get Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickley, who are both in their second year, and then 3 first round picks. You know what I mean? Like, if you're the Jazz, I just don't think there's any world where you would want Julius Randle.
I honestly don't even think there's a team that wants Julius Randle at the money he's making.
There might be some teams out there that might see what he did last year and think he could do that still. I don't believe so. I think last year, I don't want to use the word fluke, but I think he just had a really good year last year, and I think that's kind of what that was.
He was the best player on a shitty team, and it just worked out, and it just
They
flourished
won
a little
games,
bit.
yep.
Yeah.
And I think that was his ceiling. Hopefully I'm wrong for his sake, but I think that was kind of his ceiling, and I think that's where it's going to stay.
He got hit with a Michael Carter Williams.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just don't see a team that could actually want Randall, any contending team that wants Randall because of how much money he's making.
Yeah, he's probably not going to go to a contending team.
Yeah, if he goes, it's going to be a bottom team like the Rockets or something like that. Even then, I don't even think.
Yeah, why would they want him?
Yeah, I think he's just going to fade to the sunset on the Knicks and possibly even get cut.
People are definitely going to offer him a contract.
It's just the amount of money he's making right now.
The Knicks cannot cut him because let me pull up his contract, but he had just signed the extension last offseason. So if they cut him, they're in like insane cap hell. Hold on a second here. Contract. Yeah, it was a 3-year, and I believe it was
he signed a 3-year, $62 million deal.
Yeah, but I thought they just extended him because this is saying after the season he's done. But
he might be done after the season.
Yeah. He signed all the way up until 2026.
Yeah, 4-year, $117 million deal.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was.
That's almost $30 million a season.
Yeah, he's making
cut a guy like that.
Yeah, he's making 26 this year.
Yeah, and
I think
it goes up to, with the incentives, over 30 million, over 31 million his final year. If you cut that, my God, you're paying a guy like Julius Randle $30 million, and he's on another team. The Knicks cannot cut him right now. They have to find a trade, and he has too many years left to buy out. He's not going to take half that $117 million. Besides, I don't think if you're the Knicks, you even want to pay him. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Do you want to give Julius Randle $60 million to get off your team? No, that's a lot of money to just give him. Like, they're kind of stuck with him unless they trade him.
He's not even worth $10 million a year, in my opinion, with the way he's been playing.
Yeah, the way he's been playing has been bad. Like, obviously, he got for his breakout season, which, kudos for him. He timed that very well. But
he got a good season, grabbed the bag, and said bye.
He's probably not going to make his incentives because he has to be. Let's see here. He played more than 65 games. He has to make the All-Star game. It needs to be an all-defensive team.
He's not making the all-defensive team. He'll be lucky to be in the All-Star conversation.
Yeah.
And he probably will get 65 games.
Yep.
So in theory, he's only gonna be getting the incentive for the 65 games played.
Yep. And I don't know how that works out. I don't know if he only gets it if he gets all of them, or he gets partial because he only did partial. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like the NFL to where if you have you got to get a certain amount of catches, yards, and touchdowns. If you just get catches, you still get that money for getting the incentive with catches, but not the receiving or touchdowns.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's the Knicks are in a tough spot. If you get Donovan, I think you have to try to find a way to move on from Randall because I don't like the fit of Donovan or Randall either. Yeah, I just I don't know. It's kind of gross to think about. Like the thought of a starting lineup of Donovan. Who would they even like? Donovan. We'll just put Quentin Grimes in there because he's a young guy. They just drafted R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson. That just sounds disgusting.
I mean, it's pretty much just the Jazz 2.0 at that point.
Obviously, RJ is better than anything the Jazz have at that spot.
Oh, yeah. I'm saying this. If you look at the team, it's kind of set up just like last
Yeah,
year's.
they only win one round and then lose.
That type of thing.
And it could come to the fact of, as long as Donovan Mitchell is your best player, you might not win a championship. And it's not even a knock on Donovan because he's great, but like him being like such a ball dominant player, we've seen a player like James Harden who is, I don't think it's a debate like throughout his career. James Harden prime is, like I said, way better than Donovan Mitchell has ever been, and James Harden still didn't even win a championship with that.
Yeah, I think he got to the conference finals against the Warriors.
I think he made 2 conference finals with the
and I mean, I think one was basically James Harden versus the world, and the other one was with Chris Paul.
Yeah. Even a player like James Harden wasn't able to win a championship being a heliocentric, ball-dominant player. Now, ball-dominant players that move the ball... Okay. Ball-dominant players can win a championship
if they learn how to move the ball like James Harden did, because he was still getting like 10 assists a game.
And even then, he didn't win. But like LeBron. LeBron's the best when he has the ball in his hand. But LeBron's also one of the best passers of all time. Like,
oh, yeah.
He starts to play with the ball in his hand, but is able to find things. Donovan can start every play with the ball in his hand if he wants to. He's just got to be able to run the plays, get the sets, and get people open.
Yeah, someone like Donovan should be getting, in my opinion, 7 or 8 assists per game with the way he plays. And I think he's getting around 5, if not 5. And I think that's just sad, in my opinion.
But then it also comes to the fact is like, he might be able to get more assists if he had better shooters around him. He had better options around him. You know what I mean?
That is true.
He might have 5 assists, but he could be diming up 15 people a night. It's like,
yeah, that is true.
So it's I feel like Donovan Mitchell has all of a sudden started to get a lot of hate, which I don't like. Because like I said, I am a fan of Donovan, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like
it's just a tricky situation, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is.
On to other news. Ben Simmons files the grievance or whatever. I forget what it was.
Yeah.
For $20 million?
$20 million against the city of Philly or like the
I think it was just 76ers. I just don't see where that holds any merit. You know what I mean? Like, I can understand if he sits out and goes, man, I'm not in the right headspace, kind of like Calvin Ridley did. I understand that. You're not playing, you don't get paid. That's my whole deal.
I remember when he got traded, like the whole trade happened with James Harden and Ben Simmons. He had made a comment when he was asked about going back to Philly, like for the game, the first game, and he kind of said he would base the charge off of the reception he got in Philly. You know what I mean? That like he wasn't gonna throw it out there, but if it got really bad, he would. He kind of threatened it. He could have, in the back of his head, could have been like, no matter what, I'm going to put it out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they started the F Ben Simmons chant during the middle of the game. So like, obviously Philly fans didn't care. You know what I mean? They're like, we're just still going to trash talk you as much as we can. So he followed through and he, filed it. It's like I said, it's tough because, he had a lot going on mentally, which is, fine. People have to worry about their mental health. There's these athletes are still people. Everybody has their own issues. Like he has the right to work on it and miss games for it. But just like the rest of us, if I don't go to work tomorrow because I'm in a terrible headspace, I won't get paid for tomorrow. And it kind of should have been the same thing for him, or like a reduced pay. You know what I mean? Instead of a $5,000 game check every night, he gets $2,500 or $2,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah, something to where he's still making money for his family, but he's not getting that insane amount of money.
Yeah, like we have you have paid time off days at work where it's like if something goes on outside, like you're sick, you need to go to the doctors, or you just kind of want a day off. You have a day that you can get paid. You have 8 hours you can get paid for, and that's I feel like that's something the NBA players still deserve. I mean, they're under way more scrutiny than we are as normal people. Their mental health has got to be worse. No, obviously, like I don't want to speak on anybody's mental health, but like being under the constant spotlight and criticism from literally everybody in the world has got to take a toll on your mental health.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with that.
And they deserve the opportunity to be able to take days off for it.
Yeah, and But then again, to a point, they're choosing to go into this highly critical field that we all see. And it's kind of just like, I get it. Like if you're not ready to play in a game, you're just not fully there. I can understand taking a game or something off and getting a reduced check. Or if you're going to miss the entire season, work something out with the front office and try to talk it out and do something with your contract where you're still bringing in some money so you're not going broke. Because we all know with these NBA players, sometimes they retire, they spend a little too much money, or they cover too many people, and the next thing you know, they're broke.
Yeah, like obviously he wanted out of Philly. He didn't want to be part of the organization, so that makes it a little bit different. But like on a normal circumstance, say Joe Smith over here on the Pistons, he's a debt to his family, and he's just in a terrible headspace. Say he takes about 2 weeks off, misses about 5 games. He goes to the front office, the head coach talks about it, lets him know what's going on. He's like, hey, I every night I'm on a lower wage contract. Every night after the game, I get a $2,000 check.
Yeah, like something.
I'm gonna take some times off. I'll take just $1,000, and the front office can be like, okay, you can take your time off. We'll pay you that half as long as you still show up to our meetings and practices. You don't have to play in the games. As long as you still show up to the mandatory events, we will pay you that half.
Yeah, as long as you're
I can do that.
Yeah, as long as you're making an effort to still be with the team and you're just not shutting them out completely.
Yeah, and again, like I said, with Ben Simmons, it's a bit different because he was trying to get out of that team. Like he just didn't want to be there anymore. So his situation obviously is tricky.
Oh yeah, it definitely is because, like you said, he wanted out and the fans and everything. But I feel like that possibly could have been talked down and said, "Hey, these fans are treating me like absolute garbage. I just don't really want to, I don't really want to be here. Do you think you can find me a trade?" And if they go, "No, we're not trading you," then you just you're in a sticky situation because like, if I play and I play bad, I'm still going to get scrutinized. But if I don't play, then I'm going to get fined.
Because
you know what I mean?
And obviously I don't know this for sure because I'm not in the NBA front office. I'm not in the 76ers front office. But I'm sure if he would have went to them and told them that and been like, I'm just not mentally okay to play here anymore, he could have told them, I'll take reduced checks. And they could have been like, okay, well, we need you to still show up to, like I said, show up to the meetings, show up to stuff like that, or give us proof. Whether it's like through videos, files, or whatever, give us proof you're still doing
workouts. And you're still staying in shape.
And then we'll pay you a portion of your salary if you can just prove to us that you are staying in your shape. That's how I would take it if I was an owner. If I was a general manager of a team, I'd be like, if you legitimately have something going on, if you still show your effort. Now, obviously, depending on what the situation is, if it's something like completely crazy that happens, and you just want 2 weeks away from everything, that's a different circumstance. But like if it's something like that, it's like, okay, Ben, we understand you don't want to play here in the city anymore. It sucks because you're a good player. We want to keep you here, but we'll find a trade for you. We'll pay you 35-40% of your game checks as long as you prove to us. And then again, Ben Simmons could be like, no, I want the full thing. And it's like, well, you can't do that because you're not playing games.
Yeah, so. And I mean, but that's also my thing when it comes down to it is, if I don't go to work for whatever day, or say I take 2 days off, I don't get that money. You know what I mean? Like It's going to go at 0 hours in for that day, and that's going to affect my resulting check at the end of the 2 weeks. But I don't get a pass on that.
Then again, these guys are on salary contracts, not hours like you and I are.
That is true.
So like, no, I've never been on a salary before. So if you're listening to this and you are on a salary, correct me if I'm wrong with this, but I think you still get your base salary. You know what I mean? Even if you miss a day. I'm not really too sure how that works. They might take a portion of your salary. I'm not too sure. I don't know how it works salary versus hourly.
I think for salary, or just they give you like, hey, you have this many days that you can take off.
Before, you know what I mean? Deduct your pay, yeah.
Yeah, like you have this many sick days. You have like 3 sick days. You have like 3 personal days, and then you have like 2 weeks of PTO that you can take whenever. Something like that, to where it's kind of just like you have these days that you can use that you are still getting paid for. But then if you do something else over that, then something happens with your pay.
Yeah, and just like with my job, I get a week vacation off the bat. And then like after a year, 2 weeks, after 5 years or 3 weeks, kind of, you know how. So I get a week of vacation and I get 1 day of like paid time off / sick day. But depending on the circumstance, things can change. If I use my personal day because, let's say, my dog died and I was grieving about it, and then 4 months down the line, I have to have surgery, there's programs that'll help me still get paid a portion of my salary, even though I'm not working and I'm out of like sick time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there, like I said, there should be programs to help protect these players for if something like this happens, they can still get paid.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
You know, we're sitting here, and a lot of people here, obviously, like everybody listening here, we're not NBA players, so we're like, oh, they're not playing, don't pay them, which, you know, is fair. You're not doing your job, so you should not be getting your full. But if we're in their shoes and something literally happens to us where we can't play, we want to be protected that we're still going to get paid. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
People don't look at it from the player's perspective because a lot of people don't see professional athletes as human beings, and I don't understand that.
But the also thing that we got to think about is they're not making what we're making. You know, we're making like $20, $21 an hour. They're making multi-million-dollars.
For sure, and it's obviously it's a different level. They're on obviously a different level, but they're not just handed. Well, they're given a lot of money, but they grinded their ass off to be the top whatever percent of players in the entire world to be earning that money.
Okay, and the one thing that I do gotta say is people forget about this. The NBA ultimately is a business.
Yeah.
The NFL is a business. These places are businesses, and they're gonna protect their assets, like the shareholders, the owners. You know what I mean? Like people that have stuff invested in this, they're gonna try and max produce what they get out of it.
Yeah, and you're right, and yeah, it's definitely really sucky because like a lot of people don't realize, you know,
what these NBA players go through.
Yeah, these NBA players, your top level superstars, are making $40 to $50 million a year, which to a normal person, to almost anybody, is just an insane, unfathomable amount of money to be getting. But it's not like you or I can just walk on there and be an NBA superstar. You know, these guys, obviously you have to be given a natural talent at the game, which is just kind of luck based. But these guys still put in incredible amounts of hours of work on their game to get to the point where they are.
Oh, yeah.
To even get into the NBA is an incredible feat. But then to be one of the best in the NBA, that means you are literally one of the best players in the world of basketball. Like, you know, one of the best basketball players in the world, where people like us would literally just not
even score a point in a game of one-on-one.
And so, yeah, okay, they're making a lot of money, but they grinded their ass off to get to the point where they can. It's not like they had it easy the whole time through. It's not like they were the coach's son and they sucked at basketball and they made it all the way to the NBA. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a quote from the White Mamba, Brian Scalabrine, that for some reason sticks in my head. A reporter said something. He looked at a reporter and went, "I am closer to LeBron James than you are to me."
Yeah. Yes. You know, the skill gap between an NBA player and an average Joe Schmo at the gym is exponentially larger than an NBA player to another NBA player.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there could be literally, I'm trying to think. Imagine one-on-one in Grayson Allen. Most people, when you look at Grayson Allen in the NBA, you're like, oh, he's not that good. You know what I mean? One-on-one against you or I, he's not going to miss a fucking shot.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like he's because our defense, we're a foot and a half shorter than they are. Not quite, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Our defense is anything like NBA defense, and he's still making shots. Like, even though a player might not be as good in the NBA, does not mean they're bad players by any means. They're still a million light years better than any of us.
Oh, yeah, and especially trying to get into the G League is tough as hell.
Yeah, you know, look at these, like, you see it a lot with rookies. these rookies like Cade Cunningham and stuff like that are like superstars in college. And the first month, 2 months of the season, Cade was not good. He did not look good at all because the level of competition was just crazy higher. But then Cade starts figuring out because he's an incredibly talented player, and now he's, for some people, the front runner of the rookie of the year race. You know what I mean?
And I think that it kind of goes back to the college thing, to where the level of play between college and NBA is very, very different, in my opinion. But that's also why I feel like some of these players, top players, go to some of these bigger schools, because there is that competition. Like, if you go to a Duke, you're going to be playing some of the top ball in the country.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be playing the North Carolinas. You're playing blue bloods about the entire season. So that competition is still going to be up there compared to if you go to a smaller school like Murray State, for example. Now, granted, John Moran has just been fucking killing it, but you know what I mean? There's a giant gap, especially in conference play, between different conferences.
Yeah, and I think a good example is somebody like Cam Reddish. Coming out of high school, he was one of the top recruits. He went to Duke with RJ and Zion and all that kind of stuff, like highly touted, prospect. His run at Duke wasn't anything spectacular, and he really has been almost nothing in the NBA. A player coming out of high school who was a star coming out of high school barely makes an impact in the NBA and gets tossed around rosters. That's the skill difference. You know what I mean? A guy that could average 40 points in high school might be riding the bench in the NBA. You know what I mean? It's just it's wild.
Yeah, I mean, look at Pat Bev. He was averaging like a triple double in high school.
Didn't he average like 50 or something?
Yeah, I was gonna say he was something insane, and look at him now.
Yep.
Like, some of these guys in high school, you can kind of tell they're gonna be good from high school. Like, hold on, let me look up Pat Bev's averages in high school, because I knew it was pretty insane.
Mm-hmm.
I almost got it.
Yeah, it's just people disrespect on the internet because they feel like they can without even thinking about the other side of it.
Patrick Beverley averaged, quote unquote, 37.3 points per game, 8 steals per game, 6 assists per game, and 6 rebounds per game in high school.
It's wild.
It absolutely is, because if you look at Pat Bev now, he's mainly known for his defense.
And like, it's kind of similar with thing with football, because when I played football, my freshman year, we had a running back. His name was DeMarcus Core. This man, as a senior, squatted over 500 pounds. He averaged almost 200 yards a game rushing. He went to a D2 school and fizzled out. He's a fantastic player, but the skill level is just so incredibly large. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and that's one of the things that gets us here where we live, is we don't have some of the top schools around here. So we're playing to the level of competition that we can. And when we get out of our county, we usually get smacked in about most sports. I remember York High. They went out to Pittsburgh to play, I think, the top 10 team in the state in high school football. And they lost by 30.
Yep. I remember on that same team, he was actually in my grade. Jamil Thorne. He was a good player in high school. He was a good player. Played a lot of corner, and now he's actually on the University of Maryland's team. When they won, I guess they won like a bowl game. Yeah, they won a bowl game, and I saw him like posting pictures on Instagram, with the trophy and stuff like that. But it's like he no disrespect to you, Jamel, but like, he's a role player. He's like not a bench rider. He comes in like a lot, like sometimes, but he's not your starting corner.
Yeah.
And this is a guy that was really good in high school. It's like,
another evidence is you probably heard of him. I think it was from Central. That quarterback, I can't remember his name.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, like, he's got offered and he's going to Penn State, but if you look at that Penn State room, you got Sean Clifford coming back.
Yeah.
You got how many other quarterbacks on that roster? And it's not like a kid from Central. it's not like he's good. All right, he's good. Don't get me wrong on that. But he's not like this generational talent 5-star recruit. I think he's a 3-star, and he's going to a team like Penn State, who's probably got like 7 quarterbacks on the roster.
Yep.
Like if he's trying to play, why not go to like West Virginia or go to some other school that you could potentially play at in your first or second year in college?
Yeah, and I'm looking at right now. That's not who I wanted to. I know there's a player that went to my high school. When I was in middle school, down in Maryland, he went to the high school. I think it was a guy from New Oxford. Hold on, I might. Let's see if I can. I think he's from New Oxford here in Pennsylvania, which is obviously not too far from us. Eric Harris, the safety for he's a Falcon. He's on the Falcons now. He was on the Raiders. He went undrafted in 2012, but he went to high school at New Oxford.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is wild. It's wild.
Huh.
But I am running short on time here and going somewhere. Is there anything you want to talk about before we headed out here?
The only thing is that like where we live, we barely get any pro athletes. We had multiple out of York High. Mm-hmm. And now York High is a big, I shouldn't say big school, but for sports, they've had like 4 linemen over the course of time that went pro. And I know we have a guy from Spring Grove who just ended his college career in Michigan, Eli Brooks, hoping he gets drafted, but we just don't live in a very an area to where a lot of people go pro.
Yeah, it's a lot of like country schools and just not a lot of big name schools.
Yeah. I kind of hope Eli Brooks gets drafted just so we can say that we had someone from York County get in there, but
that would be, yeah,
it'd be wild.
He's 23, isn't he?
Yeah, he just ended his college career, and I think he was his 5th or 6th year. It was his 5th year because he was a super senior.
His nickname's the Professor? I didn't even know that.
Neither did I.
I'm going to look up about his possible draft projection. Michigan basketball. 2 Wolverines selected in latest NBA mock draft.
Probably Hunter Dickinson's at the top of that list. I'd assume so. Maybe Diabate.
Livers? Isaiah Livers? He's expected to go late first round. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean, there's always a chance that he gets drafted or picked up on like a summer deal just to see how he is. But then again, he might just take a graduate assistant coaching job at Michigan. So,
yeah, I'm trying to see some stuff about him on here. Like he's on NBA Draft.net, but it doesn't have any of his athleticism stuff. So I'm trying to find.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna. I bet teams are looking at him. You know what I mean? Just because of what he's helped do at Michigan.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if it's going to be enough to get him drafted, even in the second round.
Well, we can only hope for the guy. Even if he goes undrafted, he hopefully he finds a contract.
Yeah. Hopefully he gets on the team and plays in the game, or has a long career. You know what I mean?
For sure. All right. Well, I think that'd be our episode. It's kind of an all over the place episode, but like I said, once the playoffs get started, it'll kind of get more streamlined into more current events going on in the NBA. Like with this, we'll just talk about the games going on. In our next episode next week, we're going to try to get our friend Cole back again to just kind of do a like a bracket. Like we'll go through the playoff bracket and just give our picks on who we think is going to win or who we think is going to win up into the finals. So we'll see how that's going to go. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, hopefully we can get that in maybe Monday.
Probably Monday. We'll see. With my job, I don't always know what time I'm going to get off, so we're going to try Monday. But like yesterday, I got off a little bit later and I had a headache, so we did today. We'll try to get it up beginning of next week sometime, either Monday or Tuesday. And yeah.
Yeah, just be aware, look out for that episode. And if you guys want us to talk about anything particular or have ideas, let us know.
Yep. All right. So this has been Jay, and that's been G over there.
Y'all have a good one.
Yep. See ya. Peace.